Thompson with me this morning. I've been talking about you with I don't know, I heard about you from Alistair a
Yeah.
few months ago and Elaine Carroll. You serve as the New Haven Symphony Orchestra's composer in residence, and you'll be here for a little bit. And you have a wonderful background. I was reading all the stuff. You're a conductor, a pianist, an educator. Your work has been performed by a bunch of esteemed ensembles: the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra, the Tallahassee Symphony Orchestra, Atlanta Mastered Choral, Los Angeles Master Chorale. So you have been in this thing a long time, and then you won. I think you got. Let's see. Your best known choral work is Seven Last Words of the Unarmed, which premiered in 2015 at the University of Michigan. Hi, welcome to New Haven.
Hello.
How are
It's a pleasure to
you?
be here. I'm all right. I'm hanging
So,
in there.
so tell me, what does it mean to be a composer in residence? What does that mean? Do they let you have the stick and direct people? What do you do?
No, no. What it means, I guess, is that I'm now in a relationship with this artistic organization. They've commissioned a few works from me, and they'll be performing them in subsequent seasons. And also, one of the more exciting parts for me, I think, of this residency is that I get to work with young composers from the area, high school age, and you know show them show them what I've done and help them become better musicians and composers themselves. So
Like you were a student at Yale. You or
I am.
yeah, you're working on your PhD, right?
I'm in my last semester of my DMA coursework. Yes.
Wow. So when you started this journey, when did you know that this was the path? How old were you when you knew that this would be the path?
Well, the thing is, I really only started calling myself a composer in earnest maybe about 3 years ago. Um,
Really?
yeah, really. I mean, the before that, the center of my musical identity was a choral conductor. I did my master's in choral conducting at Emory University in Atlanta, and before that, my undergrad degree was pre-med and music. And so,
Whoa.
really, my journey is sort of my journey is sort of wandering, trying to figure out how exactly I want to be in the world. But the impulse of caring for others, which sort of took me in the pre-medical route, I think I'm still doing in this, in this artistic field of composition. A lot of my compositions are seeking healing not only for myself but also for the community that I'm a part of. So I think that's why it's been a good fit with New Haven Symphony Orchestra, because I feel like we have similar goals.
Now, were you raised in a musical household? Like, how did you come to music?
I was raised in a very musical household. My dad played guitar. He was in a band growing up in Jamaica. My mom is also a soprano, and family worship every day, singing hymns, and music was an essential part of the fabric of my childhood for sure.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, but at the same time, I was not necessarily encouraged to seek out music as a career, as an occupation.
Listen, if you
Um,
got Jamaican parents, I know they weren't. I know they probably liked the medical part, but they was not feeling the. I know Jamaican
yes,
people.
yes, that is a very accurate statement. But they've since come around.
Well, yes, you've earned some success and some accolades, and so now they're like, okay, we
Yeah,
can relax now. You're not gonna starve nowhere, you
that's
know.
right.
Uh, okay, so when you were a kid, were you listening to all kinds of music? Like, what were your earliest sense of? I mean, if you all were religious people, you were listening to a lot of religious music. Was there
Yeah,
opportunity to listen to other kind of music?
yes, definitely. A lot of jazz, a lot of, especially like Nat King Cole. My mom is a huge fan of Nat King Cole and Natalie Cole, and um, a little bit of 70s soul, a little bit of reggae, a little bit of everything. But primarily, I think it was definitely church music. And classical music obviously found its way in there. And so all of those things inform how I make music now.
Hmm. And so when you start on this journey to become a composer, I would imagine there's not a whole lot of people that look like you in these spaces. I mean, what did you think? Did you notice that, you might be like the only one in the room, or maybe you and two other people were in the room of, talk a little bit about some of that. Because I don't know if um um I know representation is everything. And if you don't see yourself, sometimes you can believe that you don't belong somewhere.
Right. Um, that's this is always a little difficult to talk about, not because not because I'm afraid of talking about it, but because it's so real and constant. It's I'm still grappling with it every day, even being here at Yale. And I think, to reference an earlier statement I made, the reason I only started calling myself a composer as of 3 years ago is because of that same dearth of representation that you're referring to. There are not a lot of people that look like me in this business, I guess, or line of work. But there were a lot of choral conductors that I could look to. And I feel like that's why I had held on to that part of my musical identity for as long as I could. Andre Thomas, who at the, in my younger years was teaching at Florida State University in Tallahassee, not too far from Atlanta. And he was one of the most prominent choral conductors in the nation. Everyone looked up to him. And so I saw him as someone that I could aspire to be. There are also composers in the classical sphere, but a lot of those that we do interact with, they have since passed. And there weren't a lot of people that I saw looking like me actively engaging in a compositional career. But at the same time, I feel like right now, I have a text a group chat with 6 other Black composers, and we're talking about things all the time. Jesse Montgomery, Carlos Simon, Dave Ragland, Damian Jeter, Jasmine Barnes. We're all just, talking about the joys and the sorrows and the challenges that we're facing as composers in this field. And so what's really inspiring for me is being able to be the example that I wanted earlier.
Mm.
I think we're all excited about that opportunity of we get to be at a stage where we can open the door, keep the door open for others that look like us to enter this space.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
tell me, what's it like when you compose a piece of work? What is the inspiration, or do you find inspiration in all kinds of things? And how do you know that what drives you to be committed to a piece, to craft a piece, to create a piece?
Yeah. I really think of um, I really think of the craft. I think of the craft of composition as a process of self-discovery, and I think there's precedence for that. Look, a lot of the dead white composers in the canon, from Beethoven to Mozart, were some of them were more business-minded than others, but at the same time, some of their masterworks really seem to be works of introspection, or the result of introspection, at least. And so the first work that I really released into the world, My Seven Last Words of the Unarmed, was really a product of that introspection. I was dealing with, like a lot of us, the grief and pain and anger that we feel when we see another person that looks like us dying needlessly at the hands of authority figures. And I wanted to basically respond to that, not for anyone else, but really just for myself. I've described it as a diary entry. I took the last words of unarmed Black men that were killed by police officers and
Mm-hmm.
set it to music. And I was inspired by a pictogram series that I saw on Twitter in 2014 by the Iranian American journalist Shirin Bargi, who took a simple pictogram, an image of a bird in flight or a light bulb, and paired it with the last words of Amadou Diallo or Trayvon Martin. And for some reason, seeing that on a Twitter feed was so moving to me, and I figured I'd make a musical version of that. And using the liturgical template of the seven last words of Christ, which is popular in the Christian liturgy
Mm-hmm.
across denominations, um, just wanted to not necessarily not deify these men, but to focus on their humanity. I think the liturgy in the Christian world of the seven last words of Christ focuses on his humanity. He says things like, "I'm thirsty," which we've all said. And in the media after these men, their death, you know, you think of them as people would try to justify their deaths by diminishing their humanity. And by setting their words, I was aiming to really focus on and refocus on their humanity, and by proxy my own. And so, you know, that piece and the vulnerability that it required really led me to continue that path in everything else that I've composed since then. So I would say that when I'm setting out to write a piece, right now I'm writing a set of love songs based on
Oh,
the
I'm so
texts.
glad, because my
Yeah,
next thought to you was, so much of our artistic expression is rooted in trauma
of
and what
course,
has
yeah,
been done to us in pain. And rightly so, because we got thousands of years of this, right? But
right.
now there's this whole conversation about Black joy and Black love.
Hmm.
And I'm starting to sort of see people gravitate toward expressing those moments of Black joy and Black love, because there's no place where we get to see it without trauma attached to it. So talk to
Right.
me about why you're on this path of love, of love and love story, love music, and tell me about
Well,
that.
yeah, well, with Seven Last Words, that being seeing the journey that piece has taken. I finished writing it in 2015, and it was premiered in November of 2015. And the ensemble that premiered it was discouraged from even performing it. Alums of the Michigan Men's Glee Club wrote letters to the director saying, "Why are you venerating these thugs?" That's like an actual quote
Whoa.
from a letter. Um,
Whoa.
and people afterwards would not touch the piece with a 10-foot pole, and it was not being programmed. And then fast forward to 2020, everyone and their cousin is programming it, and it's a strange thing. I grapple with it. It almost feels. I mean, I feel like a lot of Black artists have been struggling with the fact that when people who look like us, die, we somehow benefit or profit either from people engaging with our work or purchasing our work or whatever. And it feels like blood money in a way. So I feel like there has been a shift over time, as there have been a lot of ambulance chasing, I guess, as it comes to writing a piece that's full of pathos, that can move the spirit. I feel like the most revolutionary thing right now is to be rooted in joy.
Mm.
And so um, I premiered an opera last December at Houston Grand Opera, based on the children's book, The Snowy Day, written by Ezra Jack Keats, a Jewish immigrant. But at the same time, it's about a little Black boy having fun in the snow.
And that's the first
Um,
time anybody has ever seen something like that book,
right.
right? That book ushered in seeing Black children in a way that we've never been portrayed. So go on, go tell me
Yeah,
more.
published in 1963, it's the first mainstream children's picture book to feature a Black protagonist, and it I mean, now it doesn't seem as revolutionary as I'm sure it was then, but trying to capture that on the opera stage also felt a little revolutionary, given that the opera stage also suffers from the representation that's not Porgy and Bess.
Oh my
So,
God.
you know, that's
Lord
for
have
another
mercy.
conversation.
And here's the thing. I love the music of Porgy and Bess. I
Same.
love it. But listen, every opera place, when they want something Black, that's their go-to.
Right.
That is their go-to. I'm like, it's like Raisin in the Sun for me. You know what I mean? Or Native Son. It's like
Yeah.
there's other works out there.
Well, I'm trying to provide alternatives, and Snowy Day, I think of a boy having fun in the snow. I think is going to have. I hope it has a life beyond its premiere this past December, and also the love songs that I'm setting now. And New Haven is actually going to be doing some excerpts from that opera on March 18 at
I'm gonna be right there in the audience.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I look forward to meeting you in person there. Yeah.
So, do you have to be in love to write songs? I
No,
mean, do you?
no.
Is it an
I
imaginative thing, like you can imagine or be or what? How does that work?
I think love lingers. Even if you if you're in a relationship and then out of a relationship, um, you can still reference those feelings, and so one doesn't have to be in love to write love songs. But also, I mean, the love songs, that the texts that I'm drawn to right now are exploring a love that is cosmic, that is both cosmic and intimate. It's these words are by Ashan Crawley from his book The Lonely Letters,
Hmm.
and he is a sort of I guess he would describe himself as a black queer ex-Pentecostalist. He's a professor at a University of Virginia, in African American studies and religious studies, I think, as well. So his words are, they span centuries, it seems, but also very relevant to the present moment and rooted in caring of oneself and one's spirit and connecting to others. So I'm actually learning a lot as I'm exploring how to set his words. And yeah, so it's once again, I feel like I'm reiterating that point that this craft is really a process of self-discovery for me.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope it gets some airtime. I hope you get to present it to us here in New Haven while you're still here in residence till
I would love
2023.
to.
So talk
It's
to
hard
me.
to do choral things now because of COVID,
I
people,
know. I
so
know. I know.
yeah, we'll see.
I know. I know. Talk to me about I had this conversation with Alistair Neal about, when you take over an orchestra, and that folks want to hear particular, they want to hear the same music. They want to hear particular, and it's pretty hard to introduce new things to an
Mm,
audience that is just rooted to the Mozarts and the Beethovens and the Lents and all the dead white folks.
mm.
Do you think about that as you go about the world? Like, I've got some new stuff here and I want to share it with the world, and it can exist alongside, you know, the
Right.
Mozarts and the Beethovens. Like, how do you walk across that bridge?
Yeah, that's difficult. I feel like the industry at large is still grappling with a sort of museum culture that is very pervasive, wanting to preserve the classics, not really wanting to engage with music that is being written now. I think all composers of contemporary classical music are grappling with that same challenge. And I think it's compounded upon by my identity as a Black person as well, of grappling with, or I guess my identity gets in the way of being seen as if I belong in a canon that is actively hostile towards me, or doesn't include my identity at all. Um, if I were to concentrate and focus on that, I wouldn't get any music done. but so I don't. But at the same time, I'm compelled um, to create by this force, and until that runs dry, I'm going to keep doing it. At the same time, I am also moved and inspired by members of the canon that don't look like me, and I think sometimes I think I try and connect with classical music audiences by that shared joy. Um, I think one can listen to my music and realize that I have listened to Mozart or Beethoven or Tchaikovsky or Rachmaninoff, and that the joy and love and connection that I have for that music is present in my music as well. But at the same time, it's my blackness is infused with it. Can you listen to my music and both appreciate the legacy with I'm in dialogue, and also see and receive my blackness at the same time? I think is a challenge that audiences have to face when confronting my music. Um, so, I mean, I recently had a performance of a work that New Haven is going to do in a coming season called "To Awaken the Sleeper," and it's based on the text of James Baldwin, and it's for narrator and orchestra. And James Baldwin is just an artistic role model in so many ways.
Mine too. I love him, and these times are so ripe for his words, right? Like they're so ready, so right on point right now.
Exactly. I remember seeing a review, just not a review, but just someone on Facebook in reference to that concert in Kansas City last week. And they were like, this piece was blackety, blackety, black.
And I say that all the time. Like, that's my favorite thing to say when I see something that's uniquely ours, right?
Right.
Like, you just know.
And that Facebook post meant more to me than any reviewer with a bunch of pedigree could, the fact that a black person listened to it and said, this is black classical music, but it's blackety black. That gives me so much joy.
I was at the Met for the opening of Shut Up in My Bones, the Terrence Blanchard. Yeah. And I was stunned by the historical aspect of it. I was stunned by just all the black people and that it wasn't Porgy and Bess. And I was just, and the story itself covered so much about who we are, right? We are, and it included all of us. It had his his trying to understand his own sexuality, his blackness, his people, family, trauma. I mean, it was just chock full of stuff. And I thought, woo. And it's, it never in the history of the Met has a black composer stepped on that stage to do a piece of work like that. Have you seen it? Do you know of it?
I saw it twice. I saw the premiere and I saw it again.
See, I was at opening night. I was there at opening night with all the beautiful, fabulous black people.
I saw that.
And it was,
I felt underdressed. And I was in a suit.
I was dressed up. I had sequins on. Like because I'm a black woman. I grew up in the church. I know how to show up. So I knew these folks was going to come fabulous. And I was way up high. So I could see people float down the aisle, right? In red dresses and blue dress. I mean, it was just, it was just a thing to behold.
It really was.
So does that kind of work usher in hope for young black composers like yourself to think, you know what, the door has been blown open now, or at least pushed open a little bit, and some more of us could come through?
Yes, it does give me a lot of hope. And at the same time, though, I mean, I am in the New Works program at the Met, along with Jesse Montgomery and Valerie Coleman. And we're all working with the dramaturg Paul Cremo right now on developing potential projects for the Metropolitan Opera Stage or Lincoln Center Theater. And, from my perspective, though, I don't care if I get in trouble for saying this. The Met needs us. We don't need the Met. It's very clear, given that they're mounting Porgy and Bess again. They realize now that there is money and profit attached, that stories that are not centered on, European mythology or whatever, and really centered on blackness and, America. Those are profitable. And for me, I feel like the fact that they just put up an opera by a black person for the first time in their, you know, storied, lengthy history, is it's not something I would exactly want to celebrate. It's it's indicative of problems they have. But at the same time, I do see it with less cynical eyes. I see it as an opportunity for hope, and I'm looking forward to seeing if I guess my partnership and relationship with them will be just as inspiring as perhaps Fire Shed of My Bones was for me, honestly. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Okay. That's I like it. I feel the same way. Like
Yeah,
I'm not celebrating them doing something different after 200 years, because we already know.
exactly.
We already know. But okay. So, um, what's the bigger dream for you? What is the biggest dream?
Uh, the biggest dream, I think for me, um, I feel like I will know. I don't even know if it will happen within my lifetime, but I want to see um, maybe a junior in high school. Um, I want to see them aspire to write music for the forces that are commonly associated with classical music, let's say an orchestra or a piano trio, or strings and drum machine. I want them to to feel as if they have access to this field that we call classical music, and feel as if they don't have to leave an essential part of themselves at the door. I want them to be able to aspire or dream to one day have a piece of theirs on stage at the New York Philharmonic or the Met or New Haven Symphony Orchestra, and feel like um, it's not a pipe dream. I want the dream that I am currently living in to be even closer to future generations. And I sort of want the lines that we draw between music to be blurred. I want, yeah, I, I, I guess, I guess I would know if the dream was successful if I don't know, I want my music to do something, and it's not enough for it to simply exist or be written or be appreciated by X, Y, and Z. I'm really trying to explore how music can actually create change, if not on a societal level, on an individual level, because I have experienced the transformative power of music in all genres. And I have been inspired and called to, I feel, create music. And I'm trying to figure out how to make it do what I want it to do. I
That
feel
sounds
like
like a paraphrase of Ray Charles. Make it do what it do.
make it do what it do. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
if I
want
go
I
ahead.
guess I want the door to remain open to people that look like us, basically. I want it to be a space where it feels lived in, that we're not just tokens in this space, that we can be our full selves in this space. And I'm hoping to live a life that is that can inspire that for others. But I'm wanting my music to work for my community, basically.
I like it. I like it. So what's on your playlist, and what are you reading these days? 2 questions.
What's on my
playlist? Some Beyonce on the playlist. You got some Jay-Z. What do you listen to other than classical music?
Esperanza Spalding.
Oh, I love her. I saw her in concert a few years ago. A couple of times.
Life-changing. Yeah. I want Janelle Monáe to drop something else, but like I listen to everything that she does. My thesis is on Nina Simone, so I'm just listening to a lot of Nina Simone. Basically all Black women that make amazing music, I'm listening to it. So Beyonce is on that playlist, for sure. Who else? Lots of Snarky Puppy, this jazz fusion outfit. Yeah.
I discovered them with the Layla Hathaway piece. That's how I know them. Yeah. Which I thought, it won a Grammy or something, right? It was just that was such a sublime piece of work. I was like, just a simple, beautiful thing, but it just took people by storm.
It really did. I love that track. Yeah. What am I reading though? I guess right now I'm looking for what I want to write an opera about. So I've been reading plays recently. I recently read a play by Brandon Jacobs Jenkins called Gloria, and wanting to figure out, if we'd be potential collaborators for creating something together. So I've been reading plays and also trying to write this thesis on Nina Simone. So doing some research, her autobiography, I Put a Spell on You, and all of that. So. Oh,
okay. Yeah. And so, The Color Purple is becoming a musical, which is quite interesting.
They're taking the musical and turning it into a movie now, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, it's going to be a movie musical, which is interesting. This thing has a lot of life.
Yeah. It does. Fantasia, I think, is going to be in it.
Yeah, Fantasia. The sister that played Mahalia Jackson. She was the one that played Mahalia. No. What is her name? I can't remember. I can't call her name now. I am. They've got a good cast of folks. Taraji P. Henson as Suge Avery.
Okay.
I'd like to see that because she's very very talented, and I think people sleep on her.
That's true. She did all right as Miss Hannigan in that TV version of Annie the other day.
Yes. I missed it, but because I have a daughter who's a musical theater person, so I couldn't tolerate another version of. I just couldn't sing "Come Out Tomorrow One More Damn Day," but I do appreciate people taking that on. So yeah, okay. So you're looking at plays to turn them into operas to see where it would make sense or could be?
Yeah, well, I'm not necessarily looking at plays to turn them into operas, but really exploring playwrights and figuring out,
who you would like to work with.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. So how's that process been? Has it been challenging or?
Yeah, a lot of the skill set that's required for, libretto writing is, there in a playwright's toolbox. But it's important that a libretto leave room for music. Action can't be as fast-paced as it is in theater. And so when I'm reading these plays, I'm trying to see what sort of philosophies, I guess, the playwright is moving according to, and trying to figure out if, um, if there's room for music already inherently in their work that will make it easier collaborative process, if there is. So my first opera with Snowy Day was with Andrea Davis Pinkney, who's a children's book author. And
yes.
she brought insight in the publishing world of children's literature. But it was her first libretto, and it was my first opera, and we were both learning on the job, basically. And very, very fulfilling working with her. But now I'm being encouraged to look at playwrights and look at their work and see if there's some sort of connection that I can establish. And then
I'm fascinated by this process. And I'm so glad that you got to come on this morning. I enjoyed this conversation very, very much. And I'm so looking forward to the 18th to seeing you work.
Likewise. I want to see pictures of that Met outfit.
Listen, don't you worry. I'll listen. I got them in there. I got some. Let me tell you, I was sparkly duster. I was ready.
Awesome.
I was so ready. Thank you so much, Joel Thompson. This was a joy to talk to you. I'm going to follow your career and just stay on top and
all right.
What you do, be a groupie or something. Check out your work, because
I hope we have other conversations.
Yes, I want you to come back and talk more about what you're doing.
Likewise.
And I'm glad that you're here for another year. That way we can, when the pandemic eases a bit, we can hang out and catch up and really talk it up.
Awesome.
Really get into it. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Peace and blessings to you.
Same to you. Take care.
All right, my dear. Okay, Harry, I'm getting off. Sign us out and play some music. And I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9. Y'all be good.